if I see that you're lacking in something or if you're falling behind in your numbers, like we're going to have a hard conversation, but know that I'm here to support you. So if people know that you've got their back, then they're that much more willing to work for you and work, with you.
What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Sell the Truth. I'm your host, Eli Stoehr, and man, I'm on the show today with a gentleman who I've had the pleasure of. I think I met you 3 years ago in Aldi. I want to say I was wearing a Pavement Group hat, and I hear, "Hey, you know Brian Hess?" I'm like, who the heck is this guy? Mr. Jim Williams. Jim, what's shaking? How you doing?
Hi, I'm good. I appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, dude. We were just chopping it up before this, and we threw out there that you've been in sales longer than I've been alive.
Yeah, and then some.
And then some. And so, I just thought, you've had an incredible career at some of your previous companies. We can get into that here in a minute. But, you've built an incredible career, an incredible sales career, and now you're doing something really cool at Top Contractor School and part of the One Team Network and, part of One Team. And it's really cool to see you, flourish in this role. But, man, obviously 28 years in sales.
27 in one career. Plenty of stuff before that was all sales specific. So,
sure.
Yeah, I mean, if I had to add it up, I'd say 30 or more years for sure.
That's incredible. So we have ourselves a true professional here, somebody who's got, loads of experience. And I honestly, in the conversations I've had with you, I feel like I've just tapped into just the tip of the iceberg in your knowledge and what you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been in sales for, I don't even know now, 4 years or so. It's not even that much, right?
Yeah.
But I feel like there's so much knowledge that I have yet to gain from you. So I'm really excited for this conversation.
Yeah, plenty to share.
Yeah. So I'd first love to hear, obviously, you're at TCS now, Top Contractor School. You're doing some incredible things, but take me back, take me all the way back to the beginnings when you first got into sales. We were just talking, before this again, you were selling Kirby vacuums door to door and all kinds of stuff. So.
Yeah, so I think first and foremost, I would say I cut my teeth as probably a, 7 or 8 year old. I got this mailer in the mail. It was the Sunshine Sales Club. And I thought, you know what, I can do this. I can sell this stuff. So you got this magazine of all of these different prizes that you could pick out. And that was kind of the commission, right? So it was selling gift card, wrapping paper, gift cards, that type of thing, door to door. I would go out in my neighborhood, I'd knock on the door and, it was kind of crazy because, at that point, you could go wherever you wanted. I mean, I could have walked 10 miles from my house and, my parents wouldn't have known or cared or, so I'm canvassing the entire neighborhood, knocking on doors. And, at that point, obviously you're going to buy something from an 8-year-old kid, right? That's coming door to door and trying to sell stuff to you. But, I think it was kind of cool because I took it seriously. I'm like, hey, I want this biggest prize in the catalog. I'm going to get the, the most sales. And, I kind of carried that through. But I think if I consider, there were some things that I did knocking on doors then that was kind of tactical in nature. So, the thing for me, when I would knock on a door, I'd knock on the door and I'd turn around and I would look away from the door, right? So when they opened the door, oh, hey, I was surprised, right? So, they kind of oh, hey, what's going on? It gave them the opening to have a conversation with me. Hey, I'm just out knocking on doors. I'm with the Sunshine Sales Club and, I got a chance to get this prize. And I don't even remember at this point, what the prizes were, but they were cool when you were an 8-year-old, right? So, going and kind of, refining my pitch of hey, I'm trying to get this. And I'd carry the, the catalog around with me. Hey, I need 875 points to get this. Everything that you buy today is going to help me get to that. I appreciate you taking a look. And, I'd hand over the catalog and, so they'd flip through and, of course you're making suggestions oh, hey, a lot of people have been buying this. And, you try to add some stuff onto the order and, get that number up so you can get the top prize. Right. So, I've done that. I loved going door to door selling raffle tickets and things. Yeah. So, I think, that kind of spurred into eventually when I got to the point of, being in B2B and going out and knocking on business doors, and having similar conversations with people. So, Yeah, I mean, foundationally, dude, like that was the coolest thing, like going out as a, a young kid and, selling some stuff because I was feeling it. Like I was really good at it.
You don't hear a whole lot of people that say, I loved going door to door.
Yeah.
I feel like that's not a common, right?
Yeah.
Like if somebody said that, I would be
Yeah.
like, all right, you're
Ooh,
probably,
not for me.
well, you probably have a great sales career now, right? Like it tracks too. It's also, dude, that's incredible that at 8 years old, you knew like, I mean, there's like little sales tactics here and there, and on this show, and like truly, what I believe, like there are certainly tactics that you can use in sales. There's
Yeah.
different, ways you can say things, approach, and you should learn all those. Absolutely, it's part of persuasion and whatnot. But at the end of the day, it's like selling something to somebody who truly needs it, right?
Yeah.
And filling that need. Like that's what I believe. And there's so many sales influencers and people out there that like only really share the tactics, the tactical things behind like, oh, you should say it this way, and like manipulate. It's basically manipulating people to some extent, regardless if they need it or not. And so, just something that I don't believe in at all is like,
well, I mean, you've got to connect the business need or the consumer gap to where your product solves that, right? I mean, that's what sales really is, because you've got to listen to get to that point, to have an intelligent conversation with someone about how you can help them. I mean, it's not like you're just taking orders, because that's different. I mean, that's customer service. Like, which 100%. Of these do you want, right? Sales is actually listening more than it is talking. So, if you can do that, that puts you in the right place to actually help people.
Absolutely. That's incredible though, bro. At 8 years old, you knew to like turn around and pretend like,
like I wasn't expecting you to answer the door, right? And they're like, "Oh, hey, what are you doing?"
Yeah, and it worked. Right? It worked. So you eventually found yourself at Verizon, correct?
Yes.
And you've met Brian Hess,
right?
Brian, you worked alongside, right?
Yeah, Brian and I were peers for a while. So when I was at Verizon, I went from being just a temporary hire, right? So when I started at Verizon in 1997. I had just moved from Wheeling, West Virginia to Pittsburgh, moved in with, at that time, my girlfriend, who's now my wife, after 25 years.
Shout out to Joyce.
Right, yeah, shout out to Joyce. I came up here and she's like, oh, well, my mom's friend knows this woman who's hiring for a temp agency. You could work at Bell Atlantic Mobile in one of the retail stores. And I'm like, all right, that's cool. I'm really interested in that, because I knew a guy at that time who worked for AT&T. And I knew that they made pretty good money. So I'm like, that'd be kind of cool. I would love to do that job. I'll go over an interview, and, it was kind of crazy. Like you had to type, and, it was like a timed typing test. And, you use a keyboard. Like, okay, this is kind of my first real job interview of, not knowing somebody that got me into a job that, it was like after we were in college, and like, I am moving to Pittsburgh, the big city. I'm going to get a sales job at Verizon and, Bell Atlantic at that point. But yeah, dude, I came in, and when I first started in 97, it was December 1st. And so crazy holiday rush of, people buying bag phones at that time. We used to wheel, big carts of bag phones out and sell a, $800-900 bag phone. And it was $20 a month, and you paid 75 cents a minute. And probably stuff that you're not even familiar with way back in the day, that it used to work that way. Yeah. It wasn't unlimited minutes and unlimited data. It was kind of crazy. But yeah, I mean, I started to run circles around everybody else that was a full-time employee there, and I was a temp, a month in. And at that point, I got an offer to come on full-time, and I became kind of part of what I would consider like the 27 Yankees. There was a really good team that was there. And I got to be part of that for probably like 3 years, where, we were notorious in the company and in the region of being the best retail store that there was. And, there's still some people there from that team that work for the company. And, that was one of the hard things walking away from that history of, what we really started as. And, it was kind of cool to be able to be part of that group and mature in the company. So yeah, I mean, that was retail, but Brian and I were peers. I was a retail store manager for a while with Brian, and I really looked up to him as a mentor, and I got a lot from him for culture and coaching, and some of those things that, for me, never having managed people before, was really an opportunity to learn and develop. And Brian was really good at that. So but still, like, that tactical approach to being able to have a retail presentation or a sales conversation with somebody, I was really good at. So I could coach people to that, but, establishing that vision and culture, those are things from him that I definitely learned. So, yeah.
Yeah, and I suppose probably establishing that vision and culture within your own team, right? So you're working
Yeah.
for a Fortune 500 company. I mean, at the time, were they Fortune 500?
I don't remember way back in the day, but I mean,
Regardless,
there were a bunch of Bell operating companies,
Yeah.
RBox, that became one and became Verizon in '99. So, yeah, I mean, at that point, I'm sure that there was a position. I just don't know what it was.
Yeah, yeah. So, like, I mean, at a company of that scale, right? Like,
Yeah.
did you find it difficult creating that own culture within your
Yeah, I
own
mean,
team
I feel
within
no,
the?
I feel like we had
big-
the autonomy to be able to do those things.
That's
Like back in the day,
great.
it was the Wild West, right? So, you could make like a local promotion for just your store, or there were
Oh, they
some,
gave you that
there was some
much.
flexibility that we had, and if you needed to like use a credit to close a deal or something, like you could manipulate things a little bit within manager approval to do that, but. Yeah, I mean, it wasn't like today's structure of, it is what it is. And if you don't
Gotta
like that, you
follow it.
can go somewhere else.
Yeah.
And yeah, the mentality has really changed there. But yeah, back in the day, like it was crazy. And for me, like it was, I thrived on the whole fact that I could beat people. Like I was super competitive. So that was like my proving ground. Like I'm going to beat everybody, not just in my store, but in the Pittsburgh region. At one point I earned the president's cabinet, which is like the top
Okay.
1% of the company.
Okay.
Trip to Maui,
Yeah.
which was awesome. So, it was cool to show up there and like know like, hey, I was better than everybody else. You know what I mean?
99%
So
of people.
yeah,
Yeah.
right. So yeah, super cool. But yeah, I mean, dude, I learned like so much from that time where I was working with Brian, and then Brian moved over into the B2B channel. And so, he'd call me like, "What's up, man?" I'm like, "What's going on over there? Like, give me some scoop." So, I knew at some point, like I had a 2 and a 4-year-old at that point. So, retail hours were crazy. Like I didn't want to keep working those, and Joyce didn't want me to either. So, it was like, what's my next progression as I grow in the company? And that was it. So I actually worked for Brian in the small business territory. So I covered like the Pittsburgh North Hills. He and I would go out, and it was like way back in the day where, I had a list of stuff printed out that I'd take in the car with him, and he would type on his GPS in his car, and we'd drive to different places to foot prospect and, knock on doors. And, I took him some crazy places, but yeah, dude, we were always cutting it up back in the field and getting out and talking to people. So really cool.
It's crazy how much sales is about. Like you're talking about, getting out there and pounding on doors physically.
Yeah.
And
I
really
don't even know if people do that still.
I mean, I'm sure that some people do to some extent, but
Yeah.
like, I mean, dude, you could do all of that. I mean, there's different systems that we use. I mean, LinkedIn's huge now.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
we'll get into that a little bit later on how it's evolved, but like, there's so much that's changed, right?
Yeah.
That like you're talking that I've never even had to do because
Yeah.
I've got it all right here,
Right.
right? I'm able to do this and then, join what I do with also getting in person with people.
Yeah.
I just don't cold walk into
Right.
businesses, right? But I'd love to talk a little bit about, so, at Verizon, you went from a salesperson to sales leadership,
Right.
correct?
Yeah.
What was that transition like? And I'm asking you kind of selfishly because I've done that over the past 2 years now.
Right.
Salesperson at the Pavement Group. I did very well within my first year or two as a salesperson. We've been growing rapidly. We now have 8-9 people on our sales team that
Yeah.
I work alongside and oversee and make sure everything's flowing right. And there's been so much that I've learned over the past couple of years, right, in doing this. One of the biggest things that I guess I'll share with you is I've learned that when there's a problem, when I was a salesperson, let's say I was behind on numbers or whatever, I could just outwork it.
Right.
I could just sit down, grind it out, which I did, right? If I was like, oh, I'm behind on the month, I'm just going to put in a couple extra hours,
Right.
For a few days or for a week or whatever. I'm just going to make it happen, put out more proposals. I'm going to make more phone calls, connect with more people. Really kind of this year, I've started to notice it as I'm in the sales leadership role. I can still do that to some extent.
Right.
But there comes a point where you can't just, as a sales leader, like I can't just outwork it anymore. I
Right.
can't just pick up the phone for the entire
For the whole
sales
team.
right? Like I need to empower them and push them and show them what's possible, right? And that's been a big change for me, and I've learned how to do that. But is there anything like that for you that from that transitionary period from a salesperson to, sales leader
Yeah.
that you learned or that was like a light bulb moment or an aha moment for you?
Yeah, I mean, I think what I would say is my feedback on that is like you can't be afraid to have hard conversations with
Mm-hmm.
people, but like one of the approaches that I always had was, I used to coach people and say like, hey, look, I'm never going to say you've got a big nose. I'm going to say you're not doing the job. You're not meeting the expectations of the job, but I'm going to be more than helpful to try to give you guidance on, how to do that. So if I see that you're lacking in something or if you're falling behind in your numbers, like we're going to have a hard conversation, but know that I'm here to support you. So if people know that you've got their back, then they're that much more willing to work for you
Yeah.
and work, with you. And that's the thing. So I've always had a mentality where it's our team. It's not my team. I'm not your
Yeah.
manager. I'm a partner with you as we're working to accomplish this goal. So if you go side by side with someone, you get much further. You don't get as much resistance than I'm telling you what to do and you need to do this. I'll let you be creative in how you do it. I'll give you some ideas, but along the way, like if I can give you coaching and guidance, like I've done it. I know how to do this job. I can sign multi-million-dollar contracts. Let me steer you in the right direction so that you can do the same thing that I learned and developed. So, I think that's one thing that I've always found success in is bringing people along, and not forcing them to do work or, making additional work for them. I'm doing it side by side with them. So they've got that much more buy-in is that I'm there as a partner, as opposed to me being there as, cracking the whip and saying, hey, do this.
Sure.
If I do it and I lead by example, then they have no reason that they can't do it.
Yeah, law of the picture, as John Maxwell would say, right? Like it's so true. That's where in talking with Brian, he's always made the mention. He's like, you're a player coach. Like,
Yeah.
you do it and you lead the team
Right.
alongside him. And I'm like, oh, aha,
Yeah.
like, duh, yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah.
And so if I'm out there setting appointments, jumping on calls, signing multi-million-dollar contracts, making sure our CRM, my jobs in CRM are up to date, and like doing the things alongside the team, jumping on calls with them, like, yeah, they're going to do it too, because that's what's needed to be successful.
Right.
So yeah, that's great insight.
Yeah.
Great insight.
Yeah, I mean, and if you're not going to make the coffee in the morning and take the garbage out at night, like why would you expect somebody else to do that if you're not leading by example?
100%. 100%. So I want to talk a little bit about your role now at Top Contractor School.
Yeah.
You were at Verizon for quite a while.
27 years.
27 years, and I don't think I know of anyone else in my life who has left a job of 27 years to pursue. Well, actually, I shouldn't say I don't know anyone. I'm sure there's just somebody I'm not thinking of, but you don't hear too often where somebody's been at a company for 27 years, has built an incredible career out of that, and then they leave to go somewhere else.
Yeah.
Tell me about that.
Yeah, I mean, crazy decision, but a lot of people question like, was I doing the right thing? And I think along the way, so within the last 6 or so months, my job really changed to being impactful to my team and to our customers. And, it wasn't where I was out and creating opportunities for our group or, it was more like, hey, you're going to sit back and, kind of manage the day-to-day stuff, the Salesforce spreadsheets, a bunch of internal calls. That's just not my thing. Like, I feel like I can create value for people in the field. Like if I'm out in meetings and I can lead by example, and have conversations that maybe the team isn't, so I can show them what to do, teach them how to do it. At that point, you're impactful to your customers, you're impactful to the team because they're seeing it, then they can learn it and do it. But on the back end to that, like as I was traveling across the country for meetings, you have that time where you're at dinner with your team and you're having those conversations about strategy. You're talking about like next steps. You're talking about, hey, if there was a chance to do this differently, like here's a couple different ideas we can talk about. So you start to develop and mature people in that role. And it really got away from that. So, for about 6 months, I knew like it was becoming less and less of a fit for me because I want to have those hard conversations with people. I want people to get better. I want them to be successful. And I felt like that was really kind of waning as there was a shift in the business. So, at that same time, I'm having conversations with Brian, and I'm having some prayer thinking, you know what, like I need to see this path of where I need to be. And, I feel like looking back, like God was steering me in the right path to get here. Because it was the right fit for me. So, there were a lot of things that kind of fell into place, the force of like the role change, and that's like the aha moment, like, man, this is like, I was crazy. Like I wasn't sleeping at night. It was like super stressful, and I'm thinking, okay, well, now that's all been eliminated because I'm here and I'm in a place where I feel like I'm valued and I feel like I'm a critical part of the team and, even bigger, a part of the community. And there's other people who value me to be here and, what I can provide not only to the organization, but also the community of contractors that I'm a part of. So, having conversations with them about strategy and engagement and how we can help them, it's important for me. Like I think one of the traits that I've developed over time is Joyce and I always really enjoy giving back and being helpful to others, whether it's through a fundraiser or a charity or, a nonprofit event, but also to people in general, is being able to give back and help others. So, that's always been important for me. So I feel like I'm really a critical part of the team and the community to say, hey, we're here to help. I'm not trying to sell you something. I'm trying to help you grow your business, which is really that important because that's our product that we sell, right? Is the mentorship, the coaching, the one-on-one, the training and development that we offer. The community as a resource, I think, is really important for people to know. And, we've got a culture of people that are in the community that want to give back to others. And so, like, that's a perfect fit for me. Like, I thrive off of helping people and being part of that. So, like, it was an ideal fit. So, yeah, like, I feel like God steered me to this place. And, it was a place where I found comfort in knowing that I can help people and I can create something. And, so coming in and doing the role that I have in the member strategy space, it's like, hey, this is all brand new, right? So
Yeah.
people have kind of joined organically and, now like we've got all of these social media posts and people are calling us and, so like it's really trying to explain and show the value of what I see and how I think it's a fit for people and, understand some of their business gaps and challenges. Like, I can't tell you how many people that I talk to that are, you name it, it's process systems, it's, leadership, it's sales, doesn't matter what contracting vertical it is, but there's consistent gaps in what people see in their day to day and they just don't know and they need help. So it's great to be able to offer that help to people.
Yeah, yeah, and I think it goes well beyond just the sales piece of it too, right? It's like the fact that you literally get to help people and you get to deep dive into those conversations too.
Yeah.
I mean, what are you looking for in a contractor not every contractor is a good fit, right?
Yeah, right.
I mean, or every
Well,
business is a
yeah,
good
I
fit.
mean, so there's some people who have all the answers or so they believe.
Yeah.
They know what they're doing and they don't need our help and they're pretty adamant about telling us. So they're definitely not a fit. But, I feel like there's people who have like that one thing that they're missing, right? And they're kind of searching for like, hey, I'm at $2 million in revenue. I've been at 2 million for the last 3 years. I can't seem to break that $2 million ceiling. I know there's one thing that I'm missing, but I can't figure it out. Like those are the best people who know that they need help and are willing to look for it. There's other people I think that are kind of interested and maybe need a, more of an ongoing relationship and conversation to find out what that gap is. And that's kind of where some of the longer conversations happen where, like, dude, look, I'm not selling you a membership today. Like, I don't want to talk to you and then open the cash till and give you some change back after you paid me. Like, I want to understand where we're a fit for you. And I think you're a fit for us, right? I mean, I know we can help you, but, once you're here, you need to be able to give back and take the things that you do know and provide guidance to some of the new members and, provide that help that others give back to the people in the community. So, yeah, I mean, I think I'm finding like there's people out there that are, multiple extremes, right? It's either, full tilt or it's like, hey, I'm cautious, but I know I need some help. And I think we're glad to help people along that journey. It's a matter of kind of figuring out where they're at in that journey and making sense of, where they fit into our community. I mean, we've got a couple different membership levels, so maybe the inner circle's not for everyone. maybe somebody's 3 months into starting a business and they just really need some structure and some guidance. So maybe an elite program makes more sense. So trying to make that sense of that for them as well.
And that's the cool part too. What I've always seen what Brian's been building over the past 6 years now that he's been building TCS is like he's always tried to make it so that there's something for everyone at every stage. And I feel like we're finally to that point. Like I feel like within the last couple of years, we've finally gotten to that point to where like if you are brand new, let's say you open up an LLC and you're going on your own for whatever it is, and it's just you, like there's a spot for you. Right. Also, if you're doing 15 million, 20 million in sales and you need to, whatever, level up in whatever category it is, or maybe it's multiple categories. And then if you want to become a mentor to other peers, to other people, there's also a spot for you for that too. Right. So it's like it is really cool what Brian's built, and it's great that you recognize that and see that, and like you're not just trying to push people. Like again, we're talking sales, right? So the truth, like you're not just pushing people into the highest tier program because that's going to pay the most. No, it's like let's find what you actually need. Yeah. And whether or not you're a good fit for it, and we're a good fit for you. And if that's the case, it's what I say at the Pavement Group, right? I hop on with, not every client's a perfect fit for us. Right. We have certain criteria that we look for in clients, and then we hop on the call, on an intro call, and my opening line never fails. You can ask anyone on our sales team. It is always, hey, this is a call just to get to know each other. Right. I just want to know if we're a good fit for you and you're a good fit for us, and if our values line up, then it makes sense to work together. If not, then you've gained a friend and a resource in this industry, and that's okay. And when you approach it that way, it's like, okay, well, now we're actually getting to the root cause and seeing if we are a good fit. If we're not, it's cool. That's no worries. I'm not here to sell you something you don't need. Yeah, you've taken a half an hour of your time to figure out whether or not it's worth wasting, both of your times, right? I mean, 100%. It could be an ongoing relationship that's not beneficial for you or for the client. So, I mean, you'd want to learn that up front. So, I mean, it's perfect to qualify that ahead of time, and then nobody has hurt feelings. That's it. Yep. That's it. So, well, thank you, Jim. Thanks for jumping on. This has been great. I think we're gonna have you on more often. What do you think? You down? I got a lot more up here, brother. Yeah, for sure. Love it. You got many more years of experience in sales than I do, and I think there's a lot of things that we can unlock in that brain of yours. So right on. I'm in. Let me know. Excited to get you on. Thank you guys for watching. This was a great episode with Mr. Jim Williams. You'll see him on again. I'm sure you'll see him on again here real soon. Let us know if there's a topic that you want to hear us talk about, you want to hear me talk about, you want to hear Brian, Jim, whoever else has jumped on in the past or would like to jump on. Let us know. Leave a comment on any of the social channels, or reach out to, I guess, One Team Media, right, Jesse? They could probably reach out to One Team Media, and let us know what kind of topics you'd like to hear us talk about. But with that, guys, we appreciate you for jumping on, listening to this one, and stay tuned for the next episode, and stay tuned for another one with Jim Williams. It's a good one. With that, peace.